Well, hello everyone. My name is Dar Rath and I'm the pastor here at Faith Lutheran Church in Port Elgin, Ontario, Canada. And each week I bring you a story that takes about 5 minutes to watch. And this week is a story called Mrs. Lake. And it's in a book called A World Stories by William Bosch. And the story is written by Nancy Sullivan Gang. A soft-spoken woman with a firm touch, Mrs. Lake taught 6th grade. She kept her long auburn hair up in a barrette, showing off the drop earrings she always wore. For my first moment in her class, I loved her. Though I was a good student, I was shy about speaking up in front of my classmates and could easily be overlooked, but not with Mrs. Lake. That year had been a hard one at home. My father's alcoholism had grown worse. At night, as I lay in bed, I listened with dread to the pop of beer cans being opened up and the clink of ice cubes in a glass as whiskey was poured. Then came the loud, slurring voice from the kitchen and my mom's tears, the slamming of doors. Before falling asleep, I prayed, "Help me to make him stop." Dad was an attorney and meticulous about polishing his wingtips every morning before work. So for Christmas, I took the babysitting money I had saved and bought the best shoe shine kit I could find. I was so excited on Christmas Eve when he opened the heavy box, but I watched in stunned silence while Dad, in an incomprehensive rage, threw it across the living room, breaking it into pieces. Somehow I thought I was to blame. How much safer I felt in Mrs. Lake's class. This was my sanctuary, the place where I felt appreciated. My papers coming back with her distinctive scrawl, my tests decorated with stars and smiley faces. And when I gave oral reports standing in front of the class, my knees shaking, I looked into her encouraging blue eyes and my fears subsided. At the end of the year came the day for parent-teacher conferences, each student meeting with her parents and Mrs. Lake for a final evaluation and a progress report. On the blackboard was an alphabetical schedule with a 20-minute slot for each family. I was puzzled that I had been put at the end of the list, even though my last name began with a B. It didn't matter. My parents would not be coming. When I brought home papers with Mrs. Lake's glowing remarks, they ended up in the trash, unnoticed. Letters reminding them about the school conference were ignored. All day I tried to stay busy with our own assigned projects, while the room mother escorted my classmates to the doorway at the back of the class. Every 20 minutes a different name was called. A student walked out, and through the closed door, I could hear the muffled voices of parents asking questions while Mrs. Lake offered suggestions. I couldn't even imagine having parents like that. Finally, after everyone's name had been called, Mrs. Lake opened the door and motioned for me to join her. 3 folding chairs were set up in the hallway in front of a desk covered with files, class projects, and Mrs. Lake's grade book. I watched as she folded up 2 of the chairs. Then she gestured for me to sit down in the one remaining. Moving her chair next to mine, Mrs. Lake lifted my chin. "First of all, I want you to know how much I love you." I saw all the warmth and compassion in those beautiful blue eyes that I had observed all year long. "Secondly," she continued, "you need to know that it is not your fault that your parents are not here today." It was the first time someone had said such a thing to me. For a moment I was scared. She knows our secret. But then I realized she had understood all along. You deserve a conference, whether your parents are here or not. You deserve to know how well I think you're doing. She took out a stack of my papers and congratulated me on the good grades, pointing out my strengths. She showed me my diagnostic test scores and explained how high I had ranked nationally. She had even saved a stack of my watercolors, those things my mother usually consigned to the trash. During that meeting, my perception changed. I was allowed to see myself objectively, and because I knew Mrs. Lake cared for me, I believed what she told me. My home situation was the same, but I was a different person. For a long moment, Mrs. Lake and I looked at each other in silence. Then she gave me a hug. Afterwards, she gathered her papers and we returned to class. None of my friends ever asked me what she said, and if they had, I don't know what I would have told them. It was too precious, too private, and too wonderful. The growing up years that followed were often difficult, but my teacher had given me an extraordinary gift. For this first time, I knew I was worthy of being loved, and that made all of the difference. Isn't it true? I think last week I talked about role models for children, and this story has a similar message, that role models are so critical and so important because they give people confidence. It allows them to know that they're loved and that they're cared for. Beautiful story. Thank you so much for taking 5 and blessings on your day.